that title. I need that title. And to be clear, I'm not out here to be tribal chief, but I need everything that the tribal chief has. I need the shoe deal, I need the private jets, I need that Rolex, I need more vehicles, I need a bigger house, I need to put my children in better schools, and I'll do anything for my family, even if I gotta go through you. So at backlash, I'm upgrading. At backlash, I'm leveling up my household. And at backlash, you wanna know, Jacob Fatu is on gas, no break with, y'all know what I mean? 5.
WrestleMania 42 is officially in the books, and whilst Night 2 received acclaim for the quality of the matches, Night 1 was heavily panned across the board. The criticism for the show didn't just extend to the in-ring product itself, as the show felt completely soulless in parts. An over-reliance on celebrity involvement, a focus on ad revenue, and a pesky Hulk Hogan commercial led to one of the most criticized WrestleMania events of all time. How exactly did WrestleMania go from the biggest show of the calendar year to the show that feels empty and soulless?
Us, separated and scattered. We're weak like this. People like CM Punk can run their mouth and disrespect us like this. There's no limits to it. Some rapper from the 90s running his mouth to you. That's crazy to me. You main event Jey Uso, you the Yeet Man. You the one that changes. Look at that. That's crazy. You changed the whole environment, and you got washed rappers running their mouths to you? That's because we're like this. This ain't us. This is us. This is the power. When we all come together, nobody can touch us. We got the proof of concept. When we're like this, we ran this business for 4 years straight.
WWE used a one-night format for the biggest show of the year, and for the most part, this worked very well. The biggest wrestlers and the biggest matches would be featured on the show. However, by the time we got to 2016, there was a big push from fans to see every talent under contract making the card. This meant that typically a 4-hour broadcast could run for up to 7 hours, including a pre-show. This completely killed the concept because matches in the second half of the show were met with utter silence, and fans just wanted to go home at that point. The energy was also felt with those watching at home, as the second half of the show became extremely difficult to sit through, and for international viewers, it became a chore more than a pleasant experience. So therefore in 2020, mainly linked to the COVID-19 pandemic, WWE decided to introduce the 2-night format, and for the next few years, this worked incredibly well. The matches could breathe, and fans didn't leave the shows feeling absolutely exhausted and defeated. WWE also managed to have 2 respective cards with 2 respective main events, and this created a competition of sorts amongst talent, which resulted in some universally acclaimed Night 1 main events, including Sasha Banks vs Bianca Belair, and CM Punk vs Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins. However, this popular format would change when TKO took over, and what was once 2 enjoyable nights of pro wrestling became a show that wasn't focused on the in-ring product, and this has massively hurt the overall reception of the product itself.
I agree with you. I want all those things for you too. Maybe you can, Jacob. Maybe you can. But the question is, if you can beat me, Can you handle the burden of this title? But then we have to look at it on the other side. If you can't beat me, can you handle the burden of having to acknowledge me? Understand this, Jacob. It's thin air up here. The footing, there's not much of it. This is the top of the mountain. I'm going to give you the rest of this week to think about it. I'm not saying yes and not saying no. I'm not sure you're ready. So I'll see you next week on Monday Night Raw.
Started off positively at first in the TKO era. There was a focus on giving Triple H free reign to do whatever he wanted with the product, and there was an extended focus on talent welfare, the latter of which received a ton of praise from talent, as house shows were basically abolished and talent could even request time off via a special app. We thought things would generally improve. Unfortunately, this wouldn't last, as sooner rather than later it became apparent that TKO only cared about dollars and cents. Due to contracts with streaming partners, adverts would be a commonplace, but WWE would even begin to go all in on the advertising, with adverts literally everywhere, ranging from the ring mat to the wrestler's own merchandise. I mean, hell, at this point, we would have thought that Bianca Belair would have come out with a Capital One sponsorship on her belly. Obviously, I say that jokingly, but this has become far too much. And whilst it's absolutely understandable that TKO wants to make as much money as possible, most fans who watch WrestleMania 42 to name one of the sponsors from the show, there's a strong chance they couldn't. All of them just merge into one. And there's no way these businesses think that this is a positive return on investment. We had 2 gaming movies being advertised, both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. We got gambling adverts with Tiffany Stratton and Drew McIntyre. We had banking advertisements. Even insurance mascots were there. Alarm bells began to ring when it came to TKO in 2025, when Elimination Chamber ticket sales were disappointing. TKO execs went directly to The Rock to help out, and in that, Ari Emanuel bypassed Triple H in doing so, which was a contested move to say the very least. The Rock even admitted this in later interviews, which made Triple H and WWE look completely inferior. This highlighted a lack of trust in WWE and Triple H, and the fact that The Rock decided to eventually dip was a sign that TKO shouldn't be meddling in the creative aspects of the company. Even the inclusion of rapper Travis Scott was a TKO mandate, and this also backfired, as Scott was pretty much useless in the role, so much so that he had no interest in working with WWE in future programming. WWE would even commit to making the rapper a focal part of the WrestleMania event, a move which was heavily panned by fans, and even WWE practically retconned his involvement out of existence. Fans hoped that when it came to the 2026 WrestleMania season, TKO would leave WWE and Triple H alone. But of course, when ticket sales were down, they had to intervene in one of the most bizarre ways possible. It's noted that the simple solution to low ticket sales is to, well, lower ticket prices. But TKO didn't think to do this until a few weeks before the show. Instead, they had an idea that didn't lead to ticket sales surging at all. It was subsequently reported that WWE talent and Triple H were livid, and this led to names such as Rhodes and CM Punk cutting unscripted shoot-style promos directly at TKO. Now, whilst this generated content for WWE and people were indeed talking, was this really the most appropriate angle for the biggest show of the year? WWE talent would bury the involvement of McAfee on television as well as in interviews. Most would mention that Pat McAfee has no business being in the main event of WrestleMania, and his involvement doesn't make any sense at all. It was all a confusing mess that didn't influence business in a positive manner, and there were direct calls from fans for TKO to stay out of the storylines indefinitely.